Hello, today I'm going to be teaching you how to sew a button with 2 holes. For our demonstration, you're going to need the following supplies: fabric, sewing thread, scissors, a needle and thread. The pin cushion is optional. And of course, the buttons. Okay. So the first step, what you're going to do typically is to choose a suitable button that matches the thread and matches the fabric that you'll be working with. For this demonstration, it doesn't really matter. I just wanted you to understand the concept of sewing. So, however, if you are working with a t-shirt, it is recommended that you match up the color button with the fabric and the thread as the other buttons on the shirt or garment as well. So what we're going to do first is we're going to cut the cut the string. So it's about 5 to 7 inches long. In my opinion, it's always better to have longer string, that way you don't come into any hiccups while sewing a button. So here's our string, you can see it. Okay, and then we are going to thread the needle. So how I thread the needle is you put 2 ends of the thread together, like so, and then once you get the needle, you need to put both ends of the thread through the eye of the needle. The eye of the needle is the small circle at the top of the needle. So it's right up here. Mine's really small, so it might be difficult to see, but there is like a small loop on the top of the needle. So I'll just put my thread through there. Like so. Okay, so here's your needle. You have it threaded through the eye. You'll have an additional piece of string hanging off. Don't cut that off. Just leave that be. However, if it does go out of the eye of the needle, you're going to need to rethread it, kind of like what you're doing now. So then you do have the loop at the end of your string as well. So we're going to leave that open too, because this is going to knot the button to the fabric. So yeah. Okay. So whenever your needle is threaded, you're going to pick up your fabric, like so, and then pick up the button that you want. So for the two-hole button, I'm going to sew the blue one. There you go. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to hold it firmly between your middle finger and your pointer finger, as well as your thumb. So this is where I want my button to be sewed, so here we go. I'm coming from behind the fabric. So this is one side of the fabric. This is the wrong side. I guess in this sense, this is the wrong side of the fabric, and this is the right side of the fabric. So coming from the wrong side, so on the opposite side, I'm going to insert my needle through the fabric and through the first hole of the button, like so. And then next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my needle through, but not the whole way. I'm not pulling it the whole way because I have the loop on my thread, so I need to keep that open so I can knot the thread, because if not, it's just going to pull through. So what you're going to do, again, is come from behind the button, insert through the fabric with the needle, and do not pull through all the way. So like I said, half the way. Then what you're going to do next is you're going to insert the button, or I'm sorry, you're going to insert the needle through the other hole of the button. So, like so. And again, not pull through the whole way. So there, it's pretty snug there. I'm going to flip to the wrong side of the fabric. So I'm going to pull until the loop is there. Then I'm going to stick my needle through the loop and pull tight. So it's not a knot, but it's pretty close to it. So this is what your end result is. So it's just kind of like a slip knot. I find that it holds the button in just as well as a regular knot, so I find this to be easier than making a knot. Okay, so once that is knotted, I'm going to come back to the front again. So you're going to repeat the sewing process a few more times. I'd say probably about like 3 or 4 more times just to make sure the button's sewn on correctly. So again, we're going to insert through the first hole, pull through, and this time pull all the way through since it's nice and snug, and again go back through the other hole and pull. Okay. And then we are going to insert through the first hole again. Maybe. Okay, there we go. So insert through the first hole, pull the whole way, and then insert through the other hole. So that was time number 3. I'm going to do it one more time just to make sure that the button is secure on the fabric. So I'm going to insert that, pull, and then insert again into the other hole, pull. Okay, so our button is sewn on to the fabric, but we're not done yet. So to really make sure that the button is secure, what you're going to do next is you're going to insert the needle through the opposite side of the fabric to a point underneath the button. So to strengthen, so like this. And that, oh, nope, like this. So it is coming from underneath the button in the fabric. So how to strengthen, and then, then you can just pull through. So to strengthen the button, what you're going to do is you're going to wrap this string around the button. So it's wrapping the string around the thread that's keeping the button in the fabric as one. So I'm going to wrap it like 6 times. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you want to check underneath, you can see that there is like a thicker amount of thread underneath the button. And then we're going to insert the needle back underneath the button so it's on the wrong side of the fabric again. So do that. We're going to pull here. So it's going underneath the button. Okay, perfect. So now we're ready to knot. So this will all be taken care of on the wrong side of the fabric, so everything's perfectly fine on the front of the fabric. So we're going to flip it over. So this is your work on the back. So you can see that there's a few stitches and whatnot. So to sew a button, or to knot, what you're going to do is you're going to catch some fabric with your needle, and just a little bit. So you're going to catch some fabric with your needle, pull through, and don't pull the whole way. Again, we're going to leave that loop, and then we're going to insert our knot and go through the loop, making a knot. And we're going to do that a few times. So that was 1. Do that again here. 2. And one more time. Do it again. So a 3rd. Okay, and there you go. Last step before you cut your thread is that you need to weave it under the fabric. This way, just in case if one of the knots doesn't work, you will have the thread to bounce back on, so the button won't come off completely. So yeah, you can depend on this little piece of thread that we're weaving into the work. So we're going to weave it this way. Just make sure that whenever you weave it, it does not appear on the front of the fabric or of the work. So here you can see we still have the button in our polka dots, but on the back we're weaving in our thread. So once that's all done, you can go ahead and cut the thread. And voila, there you go. So you have the button with 2 holes sewn on the front, and you have the rest of the work clean on the back. So, okay, thank you for joining.